Shalom. I'm Eddie Chumney of Hebraic Heritage Ministries, and we welcome you to this Israel Update program where we are going to be giving for you on a weekly basis information regarding what is happening in the land of Israel and the Jewish people. And we're going to be focusing on how the things that are happening in Israel is related and associated with Bible prophecies and the days and the times in which we are living. And Israel is experiencing some major challenges at the moment, and among them is the pressure being put upon them by the international community to establish the borders of a Palestinian state with East Jerusalem as its capital. And also there are protests going on in Israel from the Jewish people regarding the high cost of living in Israel. And these two issues are what is currently consuming the time and the energy of the Israeli government under Benjamin Netanyahu. It's very important to watch the peace process because it is a major prophecy of the end of days. We're told that the nations will divide the land of Israel, Joel chapter 3 and verse 2, in the city of Jerusalem, Zechariah chapter 14 verse 2. From this event happening, it will set up the ultimate return of Jesus Christ, or Yeshua HaMashiach, in his second coming when he sets his feet down upon the Mount of Olives. This peace process has been formally being negotiated since September of 1993, when the Oslo Accords were signed with the goal and the intent of establishing and creating a Palestinian state wherein there would be peace between Israel and the Palestinians, and the issues regarding this conflict would be resolved. But because of the challenges and the difficulties that were associated with it, mainly the tactics of Yasser Arafat before he died around 2005, that this journey has been long and difficult. With the death of Yasser Arafat, Mahmoud Abbas of the Palestinian Authority has taken over as being the president of the Palestinian Authority, and peace talks have been ongoing with him since the death of Yasser Arafat. And there's currently a stalemate in the negotiating process and the efforts to find peace between Israel and the Palestinians, because the positions of both sides in effect are presently irreconcilable. The Palestinians are desiring a state of their own in Judea and Samaria, or the West Bank, as well as the Gaza Strip, based upon the borders prior to the June 1967 war, with East Jerusalem as its capital. They further would like to see that the Jewish communities that have been built in the West Bank and the Jewish communities that live in East Jerusalem, they do not want to have these Jewish communities a part of a future PLO state. And they have been complaining for a long time that these communities, which are referred to as settlements, are illegal under international law, and they would like to see them removed. And so therefore, regarding these things, the Palestinians are presently demanding that in order for them to engage in direct peace talks with Israel again. They are stating that they would like to see Israel end settlement building in the West Bank, and they also regard East Jerusalem and Jews living there as settlements as well. They're making this demand that the international community have Israel stop more homes being built in the West Bank and East Jerusalem before they will engage in peace talks. Israel's position is that in any agreement that they make with the Palestinians, that Israel needs to have, number one, defensible borders. Number two, they would like to maintain and annex under Israel these large settlement blocks, which constitute only about 5% of the West Bank. And they are willing to make land exchanges with the Palestinians in compensation for annexing this 5% of the Palestinian state. Israel wants to make sure that any Palestinian state is demilitarized, that the state is not used to wage war against Israel. As a result, Israel would like to see a buffer zone in the Jordan Valley in addition to a demilitarized Palestinian state. Israel would like the Palestinians to recognize them as a Jewish state, and in any agreement that Israel makes, they would like to see the Palestinian state that a peace agreement would be end of conflict. So these positions of Israel, the Palestinians object to, and they find unacceptable. And as a result, the international community is in the middle regarding these issues. And it is the quartet consisting of the United States, the European Union, Russia, and the United Nations who have the responsibility to be, in effect, mediators in the dispute. And this has come about through the roadmap that was laid out and outlined by then U.S. President George Bush around 2003. So there are a difference of opinion regarding how the peace process should be pursued among the quartet members, with Russia and the European Union explicitly stating that they want to declare that the Jewish settlements are illegal. They want to see them removed. They want to see 67 borders, and they want to see East Jerusalem as its capital. So they are more explicit in their desires and how they view the situation. The United States is a little bit more diplomatic in their viewpoint. They would like to see an agreement based upon 67 borders with agreed land swaps, according to the outline of President Barack Obama's speech given on May the 19th of this year. And the United States also complains when Israel builds more homes in East Jerusalem, although the United States has not come out publicly and politically and have stated that they would like to see a Palestinian state with East Jerusalem as its capital. However, the United States has failed to recognize Jerusalem as the capital of the state of Israel. So even though the United States does not verbally express they would like to see East Jerusalem being the capital of a Palestinian state, their policies do support that position. And the European Union is a little bit more in the middle. They are more open in stating their displeasure of Israel building settlements in the West Bank and building in East Jerusalem. Also, calling for a Palestinian state based upon 67 borders with East Jerusalem as its capital. And so, with the influence of the United States would like to see direct negotiations, and therefore they are trying to influence both sides that they may be able to engage in these direct negotiations, but they are having a difficult time doing so because the positions of both sides are irreconcilable, and it is difficult to find common ground on the issue. So recently, in July the 11th, there was a quartet meeting where the quartet was to come together, and they were to make a statement regarding the position of the quartet in how they see the conflict and the position of the international community. But because of a disagreement in what should be stated, there was no statement that has been made. So right now, the Palestinians feel like they have a right to appeal to the United Nations, and they would like to see the full United Nations recognize a Palestinian state with East Jerusalem as its capital. However, the United States has veto power, and they've expressed that any such proposal would be vetoed by them and thus not become a full-fledged member of the United Nations. But alternatively, the Palestinians are seeking to have the General Assembly by 2/3 vote to support a Palestinian state with East Jerusalem as its capital, and the United States continues to lobby to try to persuade the Palestinians not to go that route, even though the Palestinians are stating that regardless, they want to go to the United Nations. Meanwhile, there are intense talks going on to try to find a formula, an agreement that can be made before the Palestinians go to the United Nations, which is expected to be in September, wherein they can start on direct peace talks. Meanwhile, there is now internal challenges within Israel itself, as it's being reported as many as 100,000 Jews are protesting in the streets of Tel Aviv and elsewhere around Israel because of the high cost of living in Israel, with particular emphasis on the high cost of housing. And so because of these protests, it now is such that the protests in other Arab countries, which happened this spring, that protests are now coming to Israel itself. And so this poses a challenge to the Israeli government, that they are trying to deal with the issue of a Palestinian state, trying to prevent that from happening, while at the same time they need to deal with their own internal matters as well. So we will continue to be bringing you updates from Israel in the coming weeks. We encourage you to stay tuned and to listen to this program, and we pray that you will be blessed in doing so. Until next week, shalom.